you ever received an email or an actual letter that ended with the words, "Thanks in advance"? How did it make you feel? Chances are that depends on who sent it and the tone of the letter. If I got an email from a good friend asking me for some help, I'd be very likely to hear their "thanks in advance" as a sincere sign of gratitude. If, on the other hand, it was from a coworker asking me to do something that was a part of their job, I would probably feel a little bit coerced. In a blog on the Grammarly website, Karen Hertzberg had this to say: "Thanks in advance is a rather loaded sign-off. On one hand, a study ranked it as the sign-off most likely to get a response, and other forms of thank you also ranked very high. On the other hand," she goes on to say, "thank you in advance can come across as presumptuous and even passive-aggressive. Depending on its context, it could sound like, 'I expect you to do this.'" What's interesting about what she had to say is that it seemed to fit well with the two examples that I came up with. In my first example, a friend asking for a favor, I would respond. I would genuinely want to help, and I believe that my friend saying thanks in advance is a genuine form of gratitude. And in my second example, it does feel very much like I'm being told that I'm expected to do what's being worded as a favor. Aja Frost on HubSpot.com had this piece of advice: reserve "thank you in advance" for use in relationships that are well established. We see Jesus live this out. In last week's video, I spoke about the feeding of the 5,000. Jesus gave thanks to God for providing all of the food for all of the people in advance of actually having that food. This seems to be Jesus' normal practice. In John chapter 11, before Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, he prayed. He started his prayer by saying, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." It's as if Jesus has already asked God to raise Lazarus from the dead, and Jesus is thanking him, and then it happens. That shows a tremendous amount of faith in God, as well as a tremendous amount of gratitude toward God. Let's start thanking God in advance, not waiting until we receive something, but just being grateful for everything that God will do for us. Maybe thank you in advance is not a proper ending to a letter or email, but it's a great thing when it comes to prayer.